What is going on, everyone? Supreme Com here. So I'm gonna be doing the review for the EX-S Gundam over here because initially, when this guy came out back in January of 22nd, that week or so, I never really did like a full-on review for it because this guy actually came out as like a surprise unit. Very first time we have like a banner that dropped a 6-star part right out of summit, so that was like the very first thing we had back in January. So it is pretty surprised like they actually did that back then. But here we are like around 5 months later. How good is CXS right now? So let's actually take a look. So first thing we're gonna talk about is gonna be the port or the vortex this guy will be possessing. So it's gonna be Ace exclusive high firepower and transformer. Transformer, you say? So this week, this past week we had the arena mode for transformers. So I feel like they dropped this for this very reason. There's no like a full-on like confirmation of why they would drop this, but per my speculation, just me personally thinking they dropped it because they probably feel like people will summon for it. Just because it holds that transfer tag, and this one is a Sokai parts. You can say this one is one of those special cage unit that has there's no label for being like a Sokai's or even like a little bit of it. So we just call this like a special banner. So I feel like they would have think people would summon for a unit with a transformer tag and has an alteration. But in terms of this guy, this one is obviously going to be a shooter base over here. But we take a look at the head already. It's not something too good because mainly what I want to look for a head in a shop build is probably going to be a good set of portrait. This one being having a EX skill over here just greatly devalues how, just in my opinion, I don't really look for a head that has EX skills and whatnot. Even if you have the highest amount of stat, if you're gonna subslot something, because like I said again many times, for a shot builds, the head and the rifle or any of the ranged weapon is gonna be the most crucial part. So what you mainly want to do is you want to take one of the head as the main part and then another head and subslot it so you can get the maximum output. Even if you say, oh, we can do like 1 to 100 scale big alteration subslotting, but most of those big scale alteration does not have the most ideal portrait that you want to be using. So I feel like even you get some good stat, what you're really losing is a pretty good portrait that you can get for any other head parts that we've been having. So that's why I feel like this head part over here for the EX has aged it significant, I would say. We purely do want the EX over here. That's by all means fine over here. In terms of the EX over here, this is not anything too groundbreaking in a way. So this one is gonna raise a 39%. I'm pretty sure at base it's only 30%. So it's not, in terms of like the overall value, it's not too much. But you do get a little bit of a defense, melee defense, and a little bit of a speed. You do want the other two effects. Maybe this one is good for you, but I feel like we have gone even with a free-to-play option in terms of like those welfare alterations. We have seen portrait like those. So if you don't want this one, you do want this one, and you want to go for a higher parameter or a higher buffing, I feel like the Sokai one is not gonna be it's not gonna favor you in a way, because these one are gonna be 10 times harder to get up to that level 10. So I feel like this one doesn't really deserve the alteration tools for it. So this one will probably a skip for me. Just based on my opinion, the overall stat is only gonna be coming in at 10,463, significantly lower than what we have seen nowadays. And this one does not have a portrait, so this one I'll just say completely no. Probably the torso is one of the better parts of all the 6 part we have in here. The overall stat in terms of just the shot over here, we are closing into the 5K, so that is actually pretty good. Judging by the fact that this one came out 5 months ago. So 5 months ago, this chest would have been, one of the top contender. Having that almost a 5K mark over here, because nowadays most of the other part besides your head, for shop build I'm talking about, beside the head and all that, it is around, I want to say roughly an average of around 5K or up right now. We were like closing into that 5,500-ish area. I feel like that is a pretty sweet spot, like top tier, right? But anything 5,000 is already enough. But in terms of the war tag, exclusive high firepower, and then in terms of EX skill over here with long rifle category equipped, the shooting power boosted by 30%. And then the second portrait is going to be debuffing or reducing your enemy shooting power by 30% or EXQ power 30% when you have a long shooter job over here. So this one, though, these two requirements you're gonna must have, right? If you cannot, if you are gonna have some conflict with this portrait with some other one, I really this one may not be the best one you can use. Obviously, we have gone so many shooter parts nowadays that has double, like in terms of power boosting, either like a just regular shooting or regular EXP boosting. I feel like those are a little bit better, but if you do want to play and double up by 100% reduction to your enemy doing anything, yeah, this one will be a good part to be using, right? But in my opinion, I will not even alterate it at this point in time just because of how much it had aged in a way. So that's just my opinion. But if you guys only do have this part and don't have any of the new ones, by all means, this one can be a good part to alterate. Alright, moving on to the arm over here. In terms of the arm, the stat is pretty disappointing, only coming in at 4,277. But this one came out back in January, so we cannot really expect too much out of it. Power creep is, just continuously gonna, affect whatever the older parts is and all that. So there isn't like a really outstanding part to any of the parameter over here when we just log it in. So this one is the first part we have transformer out of the 6 part we are looking at. So this one would be a pretty good subslide. I initially for the transformer arena, I did use a shooter build, and I tried to put this one onto the build. But in terms of the portrait, I feel like this one is what drove me off from it, because you have one of these like when one enemy shot that reduced cooldown by 50%. I mean, by all means, these portraits are actually pretty good. Like when you are in a situation where you want to, use your E skill right out the gate again, that's when it will quickly reduce your, EX skill charge by how many, whatever percentage, whatever second it is. So this one is actually good, but it just really depends on what kind of scenario you guys want to be using this on. I feel like this one, if you use this one in more than more than like a dozen, let's say more than 10 enemy, I feel like having that will kind of devalue it as well, because you're only gonna get that for the very first time, like knocking out that one enemy. After that, this is just completely useless, right? In terms of the second portrait is going to be pretty good. You get some shooter power boosted by 35%, with armor 60% or more. So this one is going to be fantastic over here. In terms of your leg over here, the leg is your custom EX skill over here. But in terms of overall stat for the leg, yeah, the leg is also disappointing as well. So we're not really going to take a look into that. Over here, in terms of leg, you do have X exclusive and transformer. So this one would be a good subslot option if for whatever reason for this week you are did decide to use a shadow build, right? But this one is probably mainly just going to be a subslot purposes over here, because you do have an EX skill over here. So in terms of the EX skill, it's a reflector income over here. This one is going to raise your speed to your squad by 20%. Also going to raise shot attack to your squad up by 39%. And this one also going to give you a squad resistant flinching for duration of time. So this one is actually pretty good in terms of the supporting buff this one is offering. Having the ability to not get flinched for a certain period of time is actually quite helpful, depending on what kind of setup you're using it. I didn't personally alterate it, but I will also do a EX skill showcase for for these guys over here, and just probably in a quick match and all that. I don't really want to make it too long. I know the review is gonna take up probably majority of the of the video, but this time around we're only doing one unit, so I think I can cram in one an EX skill showcase for the EX-S over here. The only part I don't really have with the EX-S is going to be the chest, but the chest is we're not going to be showing off any EX skill on the chest anyway, so that is that over there. But yeah, I don't think I will alterate it because I did not summon for it, and I don't have any more of those badges, unfortunately. But having this is probably this, we don't really have a lot of custom EX skill that's actually offer not like a flinching up to your allies. So this one is actually powerful if you so choose to run this one over here. I would say in both cases that it's more beneficial is probably, I want to say in those daily crew multi missions where you can just execute this EX skill, and then your ally will gain a non-flinching property. So this one is gonna be Supporting element top 10 or 10 out of 10 over here. Okay. All right, move on to the bag over here. We have an EX skill over here as well. In terms of overall stat, this stat is, like just looking at on paper, is pretty evenly distributed. Um, like in terms of, not really evenly distributed. Like the melee and shot attack over here is a little bit of a difference, obviously. But the defense, we are looking pretty similar in numbers over here as well. In terms of the resistance, it's pretty high. So this one is actually pretty good. So this one hosts another transformer tag over here. This one could have been another part you guys could have been using for the arena match for this week. But in terms of the EX over here, we have the back beam cannon over here. Attack enemies ahead with the cannon on your back. So this one I would say it is gonna be in competition for something a little bit more of a free to play, like the IWS pack from the Strike Rouge. I think that is still one of the top choices for people to be using in terms of like for arena purposes, like the 1v1 or like yeah. And then the other one you are gonna be facing in competition is probably, if not gonna be the Legatus backpack cannon over there. I personally try using this one over here, like the back beam cannon back then. Like okay, a lot of beast syllables over here, but back then I did try to use this EX over here because I did not actually have the Legatus cannon up to that level 10. I would say this one is in terms of damage, it's actually pretty good. We can actually show that off in a bit as well, just to see what kind of number we can be dealing with. But in terms of how the EX is kind of executed, it's kind of like a multi-port EX. Not you're not switching to any different scene, but in terms of the shot provided from this EX is kind of like in chunks. So I feel like that is not the best case scenario for like arena. I feel like you want that one solid hit and you want to call it a day, right? So Legatus cannon is going to be a top choice as a free to play, not a free to play, but in terms of like an easiest to grab option. So I feel like this one you don't really need to alterate it. So that's just my opinion over here. But if you don't want to alterate it just for some good damage output, probably it, right? Because this one also does have pretty high piercing, so you can break through any high defensive wall and you should be no problem. So alright, moving on to the last weapon over here before we transition into some some gameplay of just me executing some of the EX skill that the EX-S will be offering. So in terms of the long rifle over here, this actually still hold up pretty good because of the overall stat, coming in at 12k, 12.1k actually, pretty good. For back then, this was like a god, like a pretty good. I would say like top 10 tier over here. Another transformer tag over here, so this one could have been the one you and another part you could be using for this week's arena. All right, but in terms of portrait over here, this one is actually another one of those double E skill buffing over here. In terms of the condition, you have to be using a T attribute, so you can't really throw it onto other builds, so that is going to be hugely restricted. In terms of the second portrait, it is going to be offered only to the legs or your other most important parts like your backpack will not be receiving any EXE buffering, so that can be a little bit of a bummer. But I would say the overall stat of the EX-S is hasn't aged too well in a bit. It's only been out for 5 months and most of the stat is already dropping, and all that. I mean, because I am only ranking it to the top 20, so obviously there are there it could be still within like the 20-ish area. That is what I have seen, but overall we have gotten so many better shot unit shooter part nowadays, so I feel like just leaving alone with the EX-S and alternate should be good to go. But let's actually hop into some gameplay and then we'll wrap up this video from then. Alright, so we are in on one of these normal multi missions over here. So what I mainly want to test out is just kind of what kind of damage we can be looking at over here. So I actually did slap this on a skin, obviously onto my offensive build for a shot, just for a shooter over here. So we can actually see what kind of output we can do. What I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to activate the awakening over here. Alice over here, alright, and then we'll actually activate the job gauge for I just want to see what is the maximum power we can do from this one. So let me actually use the back beam cannon first. So that was a 3 shot. I don't actually see the overall damage, but I'll probably do some calculation afterward just to see what we're looking at. So what is this one gonna do? Ooh. But in terms of overall animation, this looks pretty cool, I guess. I wish. Ooh. Okay. What? Ooh. That was actually a lot. This one is this is a level 1 unaltered. So we still pumping out at 1.6 at a final output damage. So that is crazy. Imagine what this one can actually do with like this altered. I don't actually have the chest. If you, I'm probably you guys can't really see from here, but it's just floating around like this. Okay, let's actually use this on another scenario. So this one is gonna be type disadvantage with no buffering sound currently. So let's see. Still pretty good. I think we're pumping out around what 80k ish. 80k per shot, 3 shot over here, so around 24k per that. But on the other side, I didn't quite see it. So, but we were doing 3 shots per, or we were only doing 3 hits. So, I'm just probably gonna clear this through, or I'm probably not gonna clear this through because we have seen the cousin EX get ready. We saw what kind of output we can get. So I would say in combine adding everything up, I want to say we're looking at around maybe just say upper 2500 or 2.5 million output in total. So that's pretty impressive, like everything activated. Obviously I had the atlas up, so we were getting another, what is it at base? I don't actually know what, because I don't actually have the atlas altered as well. So I want to say it's going to be another 20% plus that job gauge. So that is actually powerful in that combo over there. So all right, so let me get out of here. Alright, so with that being said, that was just a quick showcase and a review for the EX-S Gundam over here. Obviously, for what kind of output we can see from the EX-S cutscene AC, like, it's actually pretty powerful. But keep that in mind, I did kind of buff it with the Awakening at 20% up, and then another buffing for that just the limit burst or the limit break of my job lances. So overall, we were doing pretty good damage, even at base level 1 unalterated over here. But the overall, like, EXS has aged a little bit already. I would say significant already. So there's a lot of part you don't really need to alter it because like we have gone through so many shooter type unit already that has better portrait, better stats. So hopefully you guys were wise and did not summon for the EXS. Maybe some of you guys do actually like the EXS over here. In that case, you guys, I mean, if you guys like the unit, summon for it. But if not, I feel like everyone save it for the 2nd year anniversary because this is literally 1 month exactly from now. We should be getting some solid confirmation of like what can we actually expect from the 2nd year anniversary. So keep saving guys. We're almost there. So with that being said, this will be pretty much it for this video over here, and then I will catch you guys all on the next one.